the News Channel 5 network, this is MorningLine with Nick Barris.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on MorningLine. Nick Barris here on a Thursday. It's good to have you with us, and we have an interesting topic. Boy, just even before the show talking, I learned stuff from our guest this morning. We're going to it's not going to be holiday related. We kind of did some of that yesterday, but this is something where if perhaps for the holidays you want to sue your doctor because you feel there was malpractice, now's your chance to ask a question about it, which makes you think, all right, Nick, what's your topic this morning? Yes, malpractice. You know, whether or not you've been wronged, if you think a situation at a hospital with a doctor's office. Malpractice attorney, board certified, joining us this morning. Clint Kelly, good morning to you, sir.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you. Is now the time to sue?
That's
I guess.
Right.
Hey, if a case comes along, a case comes along.
Hey, when you need to do it, you need to do it.
Well, and they happen all the time. And we will open up the phone line, 737-7587. But again, just I always like at the top of the show to remind folks, I said board certified. There are a lot of lawyers out there. I see advertisements on TV. And you know, you and I have become friends, and I've learned so much from you, and the importance of getting sometimes someone who is a specialty in a certain field. We have Tim Takis comes on, elder law. He's an expert on that. We have some that come on that specialize on just Social Security cases. There are general practitioners that sometimes advertise, oh, we can handle a malpractice case, and then we can also handle that car crash. And I'm like, but they're not necessarily board certified as you are. All you do is malpractice.
That's correct.
That's it. Okay, so the difference is?
The difference is that I am especially trained through experience in trying medical malpractice jury trials. I have to pass an oral exam, a written exam. I have to have certain peers recommend me to be board certified, and then an organization, the American Board of Professional Liability Attorneys, then certifies me to specialize in this area of law. Doctors are board certified, like board certified plastic surgeons or board certified dermatologists. I'm board certified in this particular area of law. Like you said, there are general practitioners who advertise who don't know what they're doing when it comes to a malpractice case. A lot of times they will refer their cases to me.
That's what I figured. I mean, my point is there are general practitioners, but you go sometimes even to your own doctor. I have a general practitioner, but for something specific, you need a specialist. And
well,
that's
if
what
someone
you are.
came to me and had an issue with a trust or a will, say to contest a will, I wouldn't take that case.
Even though you could. I mean, I'm just saying, you have a great general legal knowledge. You have a degree. You covered it. You understand the law. But that's not your thing.
I know just enough to be dangerous, and I know my limitations, and I know my duty to my client is to refer that client to a lawyer who specializes in that type of litigation.
Gotcha. Okay, well that's the point on this, and we'll cover a lot of other things that we always touch on, you know, specifics on what you need to know if you think you have a case. But you're welcome to call and ask. That's part of what this show's all about, if you think you may have one. But I wanted to ask about stories in the news lately, and I always ask Clint that first thing when he walks in. And one you may have seen reported, we reported it here as well, a situation that's playing out with Vanderbilt.
Right.
And you've paid attention to that, and we've kind of talked about these types of things, where there's a case where a nurse may have allegedly given the wrong drug to a patient with a bad result.
Now, you and I talked about this off the air, and what I want to tell the public is these are allegations. I've not seen the case. In fact, I was asking you if you can find out about it. But this is my understanding of the allegations, and at least my opinion of what is being printed in the press about it, is that a patient came into Vanderbilt and was going to have a procedure and was being prepped for a procedure, and the nurse was ordered to go get a medication that is called Versed, which is basically a drug that relaxes you. A lot of people who've had same-day surgeries will have this drug, and it eases them so that they, you know, it's kind of like an anesthetic. It eases them so that they can be comfortably relaxed during the procedure, and sometimes you don't remember what happened. There's another drug called Vecuronium, which is a paralytic, and remember we were talking about Serpent and the Rainbow,
the movie,
where the guy during a voodoo ritual has this drug injected into him that paralyzes him. He's conscious, but he's paralyzed. Well, what this drug does is it paralyzes you completely, including your diaphragm, where you can't breathe.
That's scary.
And so if you get this drug and you're not hooked to a ventilator or an ambu bag, some type of artificial respiration, you will suffocate and die. And that's my understanding from what I've read of what happened to this patient. Is the nurse went and instead of getting Versed VE, she got Vecuronium VE, brought it back, administered to the patient, and killed the patient.
Okay.
Again, these are allegations. I don't know for sure if it's true. That's something I'm hoping you'll look into. But
yeah, as it plays
I did not see Vanderbilt deny what was being alleged, and probably most peculiar to me was the fact that Medicare had threatened to take away their reimbursements for patients who are Medicare or Medicaid eligible until Vanderbilt put some kind of plan in place to make sure that this doesn't happen, or at least reduce the risk that something like this doesn't happen in the future.
Let's talk just in general terms on that, because again, in this case, those are allegations right now. We'll see how it plays out. But the larger picture, and there have been other cases that you've handled, sometimes involving maybe even pharmacies, but the question all of us may have, look, I don't know what the darn pill looks like. The doctor's going to prescribe it to me, and I'm either going to get it from a pharmacy or I'm going to get it at a hospital. How confident are you one way or the other, and what do you do if you have a drug prescribed to you that you're getting the right drug? And I have to tell you, I've been given drugs over the years, and I think as far as I know, they've all been the right drug. So it's a rare occurrence, isn't it?
It is rare. The problem in this case, other than if the patient died, which is the worst result of all, is the patient in this circumstance is totally dependent on the health care provider. There's no, hey, nurse, what are you giving me? Or, hey, let me see what the dosage is. You are completely dependent on the health care provider to give you the right medication. And if that health care provider screws that up and you die as a result of it, that is the classic medical error that gives rise to a malpractice case, the kind of cases I handle.
And you've told me, I mean, you can go out. What's the book again with the pictures of the pills?
Yeah, the physician's desk reference.
He has one of those, and you can open it up, and you can say, well, I was prescribed this antibiotic, and you find that one, and you can actually match up the size of the pill.
This isn't a pill. This is a syringe. This is something you inject in the body. So like I said, here comes a nurse, and she may stick it in your IV, or she may stick it in your body.
Sure, you don't know what it is.
You're not going to have a clue what it is.
Good point. I was just saying with regard to something you get at a pharmacy. But yeah, if you're getting a shot, I don't know. I mean, I've had cortisone shots in the rear, you know? I mean, you hope that's right, but I don't know.
The reason I bring this up is how many times have we talked, Nick, about the fact that there's people who argue there are too many lawsuits are frivolous, it's driving up the cost of health care, hospitals are under so much pressure, and then you read a story like this. It just happened to make the press, by the way, Nick. This, you know, how many cases don't make the press? They're settled quietly. This is why you have a civil justice system, not only to compensate patients like this who have been through the worst result of all, but lawsuits force insurance companies and hospitals to make decisions because they don't like writing big checks.
Well,
that's what the system is for.
Well, the idea is, what you're meaning is that they'll take steps to make sure something like that doesn't happen again.
Yeah, because they don't like writing big checks.
Right.
I mean, they don't like hurting people, there's no doubt about it, but they also don't like writing a big check when they kill somebody. And so the idea is when these lawsuits are filed and ultimately there are resolutions, the insurance company and the hospital make decisions and put in processes in place to try to prevent this from happening in the future. And in fact, that's my understanding. What's happening now is Vanderbilt has put in some kind of procedure to reduce the risk of something like this happening in the future, which is what they're supposed to do.
I wanted to ask you this too. I don't know, not so much along those lines, but we had a story in the newscast this morning about the concerns about going to the hospital during the holidays.
Oh, yeah.
And the story was, and I guess you're familiar with it, is that they're shorter staffed in general, and those working, you know, are way overburdened perhaps. So if you go into the hospital at this time, maybe it's an emergency, you have no choice, there's a greater chance of a mistake perhaps being made at any hospital. I'm not talking about any one specific, but anywhere during the holidays. You find that to be true?
Absolutely. In fact, what it is, it's akin to weekend care.
Okay.
Doctors off the record and nurses will tell you, if you go to the hospital, try not to go on a Saturday or Sunday. I'm not kidding, because there are more people off staff during that time, and it's just the law of averages. The fewer people you have providing care, and in relationship to the volume, the margin is less for a mistake being made, and so the odds are increased that there will be a mistake. So if you have some control over when you go to the hospital, you know, emergencies you can't.
Right.
But if it's elective or some other type of situation, try to go Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday, not during a holiday.
Correct. Or during the weekend.
Or during the weekend.
Yeah.
Don't want to, all right, listen, there's little things like that you pick up with Clint that you file away and you go, if you can, try to do it this way. Listen, we'll take a break, Clint. When we come back, we have some calls coming in. The number 737-7587. Questions or comments for the attorney this morning with regard to malpractice. And you may be thinking about a situation yourself or someone you know. Hey, it's worth asking, and I'll tell you why it's important you don't sit on it. We'll be back right after this.
Everything was